Welcome to Beyond Revenue, Narratives of Revenue Leaders. Today, I'm speaking with Mitch Goovaerts, VP Revenue of CoachHub, about scaling smart and the art of blending organic growth with strategic partnership in a global tech market. We had a very interesting discussion in the beginning around partnerships and how to really build that. And then we focused a lot on internationalizations, the do's and don'ts, and how do you do it in the best way. Really interesting interview. I learned a lot about internationalization, and I guess it's really worth to listen to it. Today, we're going to talk about scaling smart and the art of blending organic growth with strategic partnerships in global tech markets. Mitch, I'm very happy to have you today in the show. I'm really looking forward to our discussion. You have a huge background with over 15 years experience as a revenue leader in strategic revenue leadership. You have a background in SaaS. You did industrial tech. You have scaled multiple organizations. So I'm really interested in learning from you in this conversation. But maybe handing over to you, because I guess you can present yourself the best way. Who are you and what are you doing?
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Nice to meet you. Yeah, indeed, 15 years. Time is flying, actually. But 15 years working in SaaS in general, starting from more sales roles to growing to leadership roles, and more especially for go-to-market and internationalization. So that's a bit the focus that I had in my last. Let's say 7 years of experience there. So building actually companies outside of their home markets, for foreign companies, European companies within Belgium and other continental Europe countries, and now for checkup for a Belgian company, but expanding also out of the Belgian borders. So that's my role actually.
Nice. Can you give us a short intro to CheckUp? What is the business model? How big are you?
Yeah, sure. CheckUp is actually a SaaS company started 5 years ago in Brussels, Belgium, and specialized in everything that's related to document management and workflow around document insights. So it's not only the fact to manage the documents for more HR tech purposes like onboarding and so on, but really, how we can extract all the data from that, manage these workflows, authenticate some type of documents and so on. So actually the main markets that we are working currently on is for the staffing and recruiting. So actually to have a good view about how to collect all these documents, how to authenticate these data, how to push it through to other tools. And then the other one is actually for the hospital or the healthcare sector in general, also in the perspective of more HR tech. Actually, we are still a scale up. So I started there not so long time ago, nearly a year now, and the goal was actually to put the process in place to go from let's say founder-led sales to really create the processes, start the internationalization and so on. So we are now a team around 20 people, growing internationally onto that. And actually, we're expecting to double the revenue each and every year. So that's we are actually around a bit more than $1 million ARR, and to grow there for the coming years into different.
Super interesting. Yeah. Interesting stage as well to move in and then take over. Yeah.
Yeah, challenging, to be honest. Was never entering in that early stage. So that was a bit the appealing and the challenging side, but indeed, it's very, very interesting indeed. Yeah, right.
So you worked in your past in so multiple regions, you had several industries. What was one regional insight maybe that shaped how you operate today and how you see growth in general?
Yeah, actually, good question, because Yeah, as I said, usually I was contacted by foreign companies, so German companies or French companies, to help them to go more international in new markets and so on. So my role was then to understand a bit, okay, for example, the German, where you are based, actually, the German culture, and to try to use the best from that and to implement these processes and these also part of this culture into the other ones. But what I
Mhm.
fully understood is that actually it's not taking a culture from one country, one company, and just duplicate it to the others, but you need really to take these these local flavors and to work it around the company culture or the HQ culture. And one of the biggest differences, for example, was French German. It's a bit obvious, but it's really like that. For example, when I did some business in Qatar, there is also the local flavor and
Mhm.
the local impact is so important in to the business world, that it shapes a bit the way how you're doing business there.
Yeah, absolutely. And each region, right? Each country is sometimes so different. Even sometimes they speak the same language, right? For example, Swiss and German, and how
Yeah.
they it's so sometimes it's wow, how different can it be while communicating in the same way, right?
Yeah, totally right. And be actually Belgian, and Belgium with the Flemish part, the French
Yeah.
speaking part, the German speaking part as well. So I think maybe we're a good mixture of different type of cultures within Europe. But indeed, I agree that
Fair
crossing a
enough.
border is much more than just a language difference. So
Yeah, absolutely. So at Checkup, you're leading, if I'm right informed, you're leading organic expansion, but as well as the partnership development. Where are you coming from, and which one do you prefer, or where is it naturally your biggest interest?
naturally, my interest is on the both sides. In all fairness, but let's take it another angle. It's more okay. What is the most interesting to do in first way, and then how to develop that, and actually. I see organic and partnership growth a bit on the same level. The organic is, in my opinion, at least for the companies that have worked in the specific industries there, the first milestone. You need to build that. You need to, so that's a bit my preference. I like also, even in leadership roles, I like also to be in contact with customers and
Mhm.
to have really the feeling of the ground, let's say. But then the other side, the partnership help you to grow on another scale, to grow in other type of markets, to grow also internationally in other regions, and so on and so on. So I'm currently doing a bit both, but very, very cautious regarding the partnership. Maybe we can talk a bit later on to that, but really cautious on the partnerships and the selection, how it can work, and so on and so on. Because you have partners and partners, and it's not always on the same level.
Fair enough. And when looking at your stage at the moment, where how do you decide on what to focus first, and where do you put your energy? Because I guess it needs to be all over. Huh?
For the moment, you have a lack of different hats and doing a lot of different things. But you're right. Let's say, the most focus right now is still on the organic growth. Now, what we are currently doing is actually for the markets where we have already a quite good position onto that. And we are trying to explore new industries or new verticals through partnerships.
Mhm.
So because we have already the reputation there, we are already a brand known and so on. So the goal is to save a bit of resources, human resource, sales resource, marketing resources, and to build a partnership who can support and find their interest and find, of course, our interest as well into these new verticals. So that's one way. The other way is also to explore new markets. So we have we've made a focus on different countries, new countries that we want to open. But the other ones, because world is big, but is to try to find the right partner that can that can help us in order to make all first steps into
Fair
that new
enough.
market. Yeah.
And how do you do it? Do you have a framework how you're evaluating partners, or how do you find the right partners? How do you onboard them the best way so you really
Yeah.
understand it's not right? It's not the product. It's they so fully enabled that it can work. Maybe sharing a little bit operational
Yeah,
your
that's
knowledge.
well. Actually, framework is Of course, we have a structure. I've built a structure with an entire partnership program and so on and so on. So, but that's, let's say, that are the slides and the theoretical milestones. But I think the most important is a bit the work before that. It's okay. What are your expectations from a partner? So it can be, as I said, new vertical, can be creating new market, opening new market, and so on and so on. So you need to really to well understand what are your own objectives. And based on that, when contacting different potential partners, also to really understand the willingness to work together. And actually, for me, that's even more important than the theoretical match that can be.
Mm.
I see it's a bit like a marriage. If you are two, you need to be two working together in order that it works. I saw in too many companies, companies having a lot of different partners, but at the end of the day, you have one or two really good partners, and that's it. So, and that selection process is very important.
Mm.
And of course, you have some of the different things that might help, like if you have already common success stories, common customers, and things like that. Of course, that helps to create and to build this relationship.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, because what we see is activating a partner is the most challenging part, right? So obviously, I mean, it starts with the right selection, yeah, because we see a lot of companies as well having a huge number of partners, but more or less none is really bringing business, yeah.
Yeah.
And so rather you work with a few, but do it in a very well way, and as well align what is the internal team on what clients they're focusing, what's the partner focusing, so to have no, let's say, to have no misalignment or to have no friction in there. How do you tackle this topic? Alignment between internal teams and partner
Yeah,
outreach?
that's a very important point, because indeed there are two things that you need to avoid. Is that, first of all, that there is competition between your own people, internal people, and the people from your partner, the workforce there. The second thing is that you can be very persuasive or very optimistic about the partnership and the partner manager at the other side as well. But at the end of the day, again, the work needs to be done by the teams. And if they are not aware or on the same level of excitement, then it will not work. So
Mm.
there are different things, of course, good collaboration, but not only on top level, but really on the floor, sales level, the marketing level, and so on, to explain a bit, okay, what are the expectations again, and how we can work together without not interfering with each other. The second thing is trying to align a bit the KPIs or the commissions part. That's very important, because probably very good, but the sales are working for their results, for their commissions, for
Yeah.
the awards, and so on. If they are not awarded in a way or another for what you as a partner are doing, then they will not really push your solution, your product, or whatsoever. So that alignment is very important. And of course, third one is, depending if you're using a partner in international for a new vertical, but is try to not work on the same type of customers or the same verticals and so on. That avoids any kind of confusion onto that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I think defining this and structuring it out and be very thoughtful on how to collaborate, what to focus on is most important. So, and if you go international and focusing that the partners is actually going on new verticals, obviously it's quite smart to avoid conflict and then operating together. And let's talk a little bit about internationalization, as this is what we want to learn from you. So, what's your approach when entering new geography? What are the, let's say, what are the non-negotiables for success in order to really enter an unfamiliar market?
It's also a very good and complex question because I think I can speak about that for more than an hour. But let's try to summarize that. Again, the internationalization, it's a bit like the partners, as I said. There is a lot of homework that needs to be done before entering a new market. So you need to understand, okay, from where you are starting. My example here for Czechia, we're starting from Belgium. Okay, let's have just a small look about, okay, what are maybe the customers that you already have in other markets? What is the easy way to go regarding culture, regarding language, regarding technical or legal stuff, compliancy, and so on and so on. So you have all these different criterias that you need to evaluate. And it's always a matter of time and effort that you want to spend into that. So for example, in our case, okay, we have everything already in three language, English, Flemish, or Dutch, and French. Okay, the easy way to go is then on all the French speaking countries. Yeah. A good thing is that France is just near to us. Same for Dutch. Then with the Netherlands that's opening for us, and English, of course, for the UK and so on. So the US, because there we have then a more complexity regarding the compliancy regulations, local that are specific there. So and Europe is a fantastic continent to work onto that, because if you're in the European Union, you have already a kind of same standards to operate in each and every country in Europe. So that makes the things a bit easier. But still, this evaluation is very important. And the most important that I already mentioned, but the most important for me is really the cultural thing. So trying or thinking that, I don't know, putting a Belgian guy selling something in Italy, for example, doesn't make sense. You need to have that culture, that network, that the way of dealing with people there. So you need to have these local people. So about saying what are the non-negotiable things, you need to have local people on the ground that understand really the culture there, and so on and so on. These are the minimum things that you need to do.
Fair. And if you have already, obviously, let's say the collateral in the language, it speeds up the process. And what's your compromise there, right? Between speed and local relevance, right? Or adapting to local habits. How do you balance this?
Regarding the speed of going onto the market, you mean? Or what's...
going out.
Thinking that going internationally into a new market and after 2 months it's successful, that's not possible. Or the one that can achieve that, then he can give me a call and explain me, because that's really something, at least in the B2B business. I'm not talking about B2C. That's totally something different. But in the B2B SaaS, you need to, again, as I said, to do a bit of the homework, to have ideally some logos, some success stories, or a story to tell into that market. And each market reacts a bit on the same thing. Is, okay, it's very good that you did that and that and that in another country, but what I'm interested, because I'm particular, I'm from that country. In my own country, it's something different than in another country. So explain me how you did that for a customer that's similar to me. So having that, let's say, starting logo, customer story, or storytelling that you can do is very important in order to increase speed. But realistically, you need at least a year, let's say, to really build the trust, create your story, have the collaterals to the reach out, and so on and so on. And depending of the product or service that you are selling, the sales cycle can be a bit longer or shorter, but at the end of the day, it's take at least a year.
Yeah, fair enough. And so in the end, first be very prepared, structured, have all the local necessities in place, and you learn this through the hiring local people, and then go out in a with high quality, and then give the time in order
Yeah,
to really build for success. Don't over speed it up and then make your conclusion after 2 months. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And maybe a last thing is to, if you've done all that, try to put a process in place that you can scale and
Mm,
reuse, because otherwise it's really a heavy work. Otherwise, you are spending for each and every new country, you are spending a lot of time to do exactly the same for new countries and so on. So
fair enough.
try to create that framework.
Yeah, I would say anyway, in general, companies should build that right on the home market, have a good structure, good process in place where you can learn and scale. But even I think when going international, right, so your conclusion should be done on things where you know the quality is there and the structure is there. Because
Mm-hmm.
maybe leading to my next question is, what's on your view the biggest misconceptions about internationalization or scaling international in tech? And most probably this goes hand in hand there.
Well, yeah, one of the topics that we already said is that thinking to go just international and that after 2 months of time you increase your revenue by 50%, that's just not realistic. So there is a lot of steps and work to do that. Now, nevertheless, internationalization brings challenges, but brings also a lot of positive things as well,
Mm,
because you can have different type of markets, so different also way to position uh, your uh, your product or your service. You have different opportunities also. We talked about partners a bit earlier, but about also upsell, cross-sell, have new ideas to develop your product. Some of the countries are, let's talking about more digital advanced than others, and you see that the level of maturity from country to country is slightly different. So these are all the things that are also opportunities, in my opinion, how to help to grow your own company and your product and so on. But again, all these things you have a positive side and negative side. And yeah, of course, the negative side is to make sure to well understand the markets, even if we are in a European Union, talking about Europe. But each and every country is so different that you have also a competitive landscape that's different. You have other challenges there. So understanding the local flavor of that market is
yeah.
really key.
Do you set yourself goals or milestones which you need to achieve in order to ensure you're not running into the wrong directions, or where you can say, look, that's now it's the time to cut off because we're not successful? How do you do that?
There is a kind of course, let's say hard figures, some KPIs or objectives, hard written objectives that we are putting, like of course, the different contacts that we have, the pipeline increase, the revenue at a certain time, and so on and so on.
Mm,
So these are very hard figures. Partnership or local contacts with experts is also important in order to validate the concept that you have, the way to bring something to the markets, and so on, to understand that you have a lot of experts or consulting companies that might help you in order to better understand that local flavor and
mm,
the way how things are operating. And then you have a bit more the subjective part, is to feel, okay, after that much effort, will that be a nice opportunity, or will that really the big bang? And that's something that you can feel, okay, what's the level of interest? Is it a nice to have a lot of competition, but not really creating a lot of value? Okay, it can still be interesting, but it will never be the success, at least on a short term. So this is a bit more subjective, difficult to qualify sometimes. So it's
mm.
also good to have different people to have or to give different insights.
Fair.
So yeah.
As well, good, right? To define most probably the milestones and set a yearly plan in order to, let's say, have a proactive approach to management to ensure that you have the, let's say in German you would say den langen Atem, have the enough breathe, enough power to ensure the long timelines. Yeah. Or how do you speak with them? Then you say, look, we make a plan and we're going to do this investment. It will take another 18 months to see some results.
Yeah, then it's going to the board, to the shareholders to explain that. That's never the easiest part. But usually the companies that are serious knows a bit. What they don't know is actually the exact timing. Of course, they are usually quite surprised about. Yeah, it will take at least a year. That's a minimum, if not longer. It will need that amount of investment. But yeah, as I said, usually they have a kind of an idea of that. But yeah, it's you need to be convinced. If they contact me or others and say, okay, we want to go international, then hopefully they did a bit their homework. So
fair enough.
it's a bit easier. Yeah.
Yeah, but I would say, look, in the from the roles you had previous, I guess it was easier to justify, right? In a bigger company with more experienced management. I guess now in a company with which more or less just started, where budgets are much tighter, it's I guess the pressure on returning and showing performance is much higher. Or do you see a difference there?
Actually, I do not totally agree on that. Which is true, of course. The financial possibilities are different. That's for sure. But usually, I talking about the two experiences with German companies, and not because they were Germans, but were very well established companies in their sector. They're very well known in their home markets. The management of the top management or shareholders were really thinking about, okay, it works like that since 20 years, and we are a leader in our country or in our home markets, so it should be easy to replicate that. So the time pressure is much more harder usually on these companies than the let's say the small ones. The small ones is okay. We don't know. We are good, but we know it will take time.
Interesting.
But,
When thinking about a little bit about infrastructure, tech stack, yeah, when really internationalization, or when you want to scale very fast. So how do you blend on the one side strategy with the tech stack, with the processes, and in order to have an approach where you fully focused on scaling fast or executing fast? What's your approach? What's your approach there in order to ensure that?
Yeah, as I said, is that it's really to think beforehand and to create that framework. Again, it's not rocket science at the end of the day. Really, it looks like, but the biggest complexity is that you have so many things to check, validate, to do budgets into that. Okay, what will that cost? What's the return on investment that we can expect, and things like that. And you have so many topics to manage. But at the end of the day, if you have built your framework, that's really something that you can replicate in order to scale much quicker and going from country to country. You have also different levels. You do not need to enter countries on the same type of investment because, you can do some channel. We talked about partners. We can do maybe with another business line of product that's maybe easier to reach and to sell and so on. So, but still, have your framework, prepare that, take the time that's needed for that, and then you can, of course, you need to test and validate it. But when it's done, okay, then you can really replicate.
Yeah. And like this, through the process and the good structures, you create alignment between the teams, but as well through the transparency, you have still the agility to scale fast. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's the agility is the perfect word because there will always be a surprise, something that you didn't see or forecast or whatsoever. So you need really to adapt. Can be your own process, how you want to go, but can be also on the product side. So you need to be sure that you have your team members from product to adapt slightly the product in order to be compatible for that market, and so on and so on. So it can be on different levels, but agility is really key. Yeah.
Ah, nice. So what's the biggest mindset shift you had when making the transition from sales roles into, let's say, broader revenue leadership, like you are where you are now? So
Yeah, of course. I like on the sales part. I think I hope at least every sales has a bit the same idea. It's a bit that excitement when you win, of course, disappointment when you lose sometimes, but you are really driven by that energy
Mhm.
into the sales. Now, the thing is, of course, when going to more leadership sides, you still need to keep that excitement, but also provide it to your teams, and also fully understand that your team members are not like you. Different ways to work, different manners to reach maybe or to achieve the same goal. So to give and that liberty that's really needed in order to perform well, but also talking about framework and certain methodology and so on, to keep that uniformity regarding that methodology process and so on and so on.
Mhm.
So that's really challenging sometimes because all people are different. So
Fair.
you need to compose a bit on that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, we see that as well, right? So you need to build an engine which somehow brings them all in line, but which leaves them to work in their individual necessity while following the approach you've chosen. I think that's the interesting and challenging part at the same time, right? When other people are involved. What advice would you give a sales leadership or a sales leader when they decide to internationalize and scale international? What would it be?
Really, the leadership needs still to be close to the ground. Of course, you do not have the time to do everything. You cannot sell on behalf of your team and so on and so on. But you really need to be in these customer meetings. You need to be in these first steps in order to really understand. Okay, what's the culture? What are the different aspects and so on and so on? Because you can receive feedback from your team members, but it's never the same understanding than when you believe it yourself or when you feel it yourself. So that's really important. Regarding pure specifically the internationalization, try really not to copy paste what worked maybe for 20 years in a certain country and just duplicate it. That will not work. Take the best from it, but hate a bit the phrase like we always did like that. So no, if you are entering a new country or a new market, you need to reinvent a bit yourself. Take the best things, but reinvent a bit yourself. And last thing, as already mentioned, be a bit patient. You need to have the ambition. You need to put the right resources, money, workforce, and so on and so on. But also be patient. Do not expect any results after 2 months. That's just not realistic.
Mitch, thank you very much for your time. Super interesting discussion about internationalization. I learned a lot. I think the audience will appreciate as well because a lot of them are at the point or will be at the point. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael, for the interview. It was really nice to exchange together. So thank you very much.